Hello everyone and welcome to another high elo game of Age of Empires. Today we introduced our little idle villager to the songs of the warrior poet Tupac Shakur, and now he knows he's gotta pack a vest in that Jimmy in the City of Sex, especially if he's gonna watch Hera playing as the Slavs in blue battle it out with Margougou playing as the Saracens in red. Now, while the players herd their herdables explore their immediate surroundings and try to get their butts up to Feudal Age ASAP, perhaps taking a break to stare off into nothingness and ponder their life's choices, why don't we take a look at the Civ matchup we will be watching today? Now, the Slavs are a civilization that wastes no time getting into the face of their opponents. Their infantry, which is already quite strong, can be upgraded to do trample damage, and their unique unit, the Boyar, is a Teutonic knight on a horse. This is a fairly slow, but overall super tanky, very powerful cavalry unit with an absolute bonkers amount of both melee and pierce armor. Now, to support their melee units on the battlefield against harassment by annoying things like ranged units, all Slavic Siege Workshop units are 15% faster, which does seem fantastic for them because they have access to every single Siege Workshop unit in the game, with the exception of Bombard Cannons. Now, those cheaper siege units can also be combined with Slavic Monks, which move 20% faster than normal to generate a powerful Siege Monk Rush, adorably called a Smush. Now, Slavic Castles can also be upgraded so that 40% of their stone cost is replaced with wood, which does save a player 260 stone per castle. Now, to help them grow their military production, their infantry get both the supplies and the gambeson upgrades for free. Their farmers work 15% faster, and every single barracks, archery range, stable, and siege workshop actually provides 5 population space, just like this guy, just like a house, which does free up wood for more farms, maybe castles, maybe army supply, maybe a little bit of all three in the early to mid stages of the game. Now, pivoting to the right side of the map, perhaps the bottom right side of the map, we've got Margougou playing as the Saracens in red, a civilization whose strong market can be used to gain a early to mid-game advantage over their opponents. To start with, Saracen markets only cost 75 wood, and their commodity trading fee, the VIG, is fixed at 5%, which is significantly lower than the 30% that other civilizations have to pay when they, for example, buy food early on in the game. Now, using this economic advantage, the Saracens can field quite a hard-hitting, tanky army. Their foot archers come with an attack bonus against buildings, which makes their Feudal Age aggression... Sarah. I thought Slavs and Hera, I turned it into Sarah. Hera not walling himself off, but that extra attack bonus against structures does make Saracen aggression in Feudal Age a little bit scarier than usual. Their camels come with 25% more HP. Their trebs, their mangonels, their onagers can all be upgraded to increase their attack. And their unique unit is the Mameluke, a ranged melee camel unit that comes with a pretty darn big attack bonus against cavalry, and one which, by the way, we've seen Hera struggle against very recently as he played the Georgians, massing those freaking powerful Manaspas. Now, if, as sometimes happens in Age of Empires, your units do get injured on the battlefield, they lose a little bit of HP, they stub their toe, they get a little cut here and there, well, then the Saracens can upgrade their monks to automatically and passively heal all units within a 5-tile radius at a ridiculous rate of 75 HP per minute. Those are the two civilizations. As I mentioned, Hera having a bit of a tough time against the Saracens. Last we saw him go up against them, although he did take a pretty bad fight. Spoiler alert, or maybe not spoiler alert if you haven't seen that video just yet. It did come out a few weeks ago. Definitely check it out. Hera was the Georgians. I guess I already spoiled it, but whatever. Spoiler alert anyway, after the fact. Retroactive spoiler alert, which I guess deletes the whole purpose of having a spoiler alert in the first place. Let's take a look at the bases as both players. Hera. Come on, I want to finish my sentence. He's got 542 food. Is he waiting to train this one last villager before he clicks up so I can finally say... No, he's training even more villagers. Never mind. Both players are not heading up to Feudal Age. Our Slav choosing to continue onwards with upwards of 30 possible population space. So let's take a look at his base. First, primary main gold, nice and secure to the back. A decent forest spread makes this walling off slightly easier than usual, especially if he uses the forest here to the north. I also like that he has an emergency forest here to the back in case his forests come under attack. Primary stone That's not your primary stone. There's your primary stone, very exposed to the front. Now, against a civilization like the Saracens, who can maneuver quite well in open spaces, this might be problematic for him. He's also got additional gold to the top, additional gold to the bottom, outside his base, and additional stone inside his base, guarded by a very greedy, very hungry wolf. And Hera has already gone up to 23 population. He's going to be 6 villagers ahead of his opponent. Oh, mama, 7 villagers ahead of his opponent, as it looks like there is an attack here. Uh-oh, Hera's villager. Hera, okay, uncharacteristic, loses a villager at the 9.5-minute mark of the game. Scout, very proud of himself to have gotten that pick off. Absconds, not too sure he can stick around to take on a full healthy villager. So on the whole, not a terrible base for Hera. I really don't like that the extra resources and the primary gold are outside, but he does have an extra emergency pile of stone. He does have that extra forest to the back. And the Slavs, because they do get that 15% discount on sieges, definitely something I do expect to see, especially against the Saracens, who can pack a frickin' punch. Ooh, he's moving forward with 4 villagers. He's got 200 stone, no extra villagers. We'll see what that's for. Let's take a very quick look at Margougou's base. Primary gold, very much in the forward position. Primary stone, kind of off the beaten path here, not really on the attack path for our Slav. Additional gold to the top, northwest and northeast of the base. And where's the extra stone? Annoyingly placed on a hill here. Oh, man, it looks like I already missed a kill, as Hera completes the Howard Hughes wall off and says, you are not getting into my base. We'll see what Margougou decides to do. He is tower rushing our Slav. Okay. So this base of the forests, also not terrible in terms of walling it off, although it looks like our Saracen has 0 interest in walling off his base, being the one who will be putting on the aggression against his enemy. Wolf springs into action. Wolf dies immediately to those 2 villagers. And now Hera, knowing that this tower can very easily puncture through these weak palisades, these are not human palisades with extra HP, creates an emergency wall off, but he's only kind of created an emergency wall off halfway. If Margougou decides to attack any of these 2 palisades up here, I don't know that Hera can necessarily defend against this. Although he is now finally in the next age with the exact same number of villagers building his tower. Oh, that's so sour. Constructing it right within the very tip of the range of the Saracen tower, who, by the way, I believe, no, doesn't have enough wood, but can be upgraded to attack this tower, although I guess that's not really a threat at the moment, since he does not have those resources. Hera risking the lives of his villagers to repair this. There's still one in here. I don't know that Margougou necessarily saw this villager. And another tower. So he's trying to accomplish what here? There's no precious resources. He's not reaching the berries. He's going to lame this one forest. But as I mentioned, Hera's got an internal forest and an emergency forest. So I'm not too sure that laming the wood here is necessarily worth all of this villager stone gathering when you could be gathering and going up to the next age. Not exactly a Saracen market, but a market will do. It's big and fat and takes up 4x4 tiles. And our Saracen really wants to bust into here. Now I made a big stink. Made a big point of talking about the Saracen archers with their attack bonus against buildings being a big threat. And right now it seems to be villagers and scouts. So Margougou's food income is not going to be that great, having trained, I want to say 4 or 5 scouts. I don't know if one of the kills here is the scout. I'm assuming it's the original scout that was stuck inside Hera's base. Now that I don't see it, I'm assuming that's the kill that Hera got. So that means Margougou spent 400 extra food on these scouts, which means he could have been close to going up to castle, which our Slav is already going up to castle. Ooh. What will happen first? Will Margougou bust into the base? Will Hera get his tower up? And even if he gets his tower up, will it be enough to shoo away 5 healthy scouts? I guess the answer is yes. That is not something I expected. I thought Margougou would for sure continue trying to get into this base. It's only got 93 HP, now has a tower. I believe the tower can attack the palisade. It doesn't look like it's within its murder hole radius. Never mind, he pivots over here. Hera vipering up his base with a big, juicy stone gate. Now, demolishing a house here and there against the Slavs, obviously not the biggest of deals, especially since their military infrastructure, of which Hera has none. Okay, so the point I'm about to make is kind of moot. But against the Slavs, it does help that your barracks, your archery ranges, your stables, your siege workshops all give you extra population space. Holy moly, our Saracen is really making an issue of this. Both of these players having to spend a lot of stone. Perhaps Margougou saw that this primary stone was out here and thought that his opponent couldn't compete with his stone expenditure. But little did he know that Hera has that backup stone, the secondary stone. 3/4 of it seems to be gone, or rather 1/4 of it seems to be gone already. But all of a sudden we got 1, 2, 3 towers. The one to the north here has fallen. Hera's got 3 counter towers, and now Margougou decides to go home. A interesting set of events here, as our Saracen is now trying to bust in through the north, but without a tower, without any kind of ranged units whatsoever. This attack is not going to accomplish very much, as Hera can just keep walling off more and more and more and more until he finally has whatever army he wants to push out with. To the south, tower on tower violence. It looks like Margougou's tower's on the high ground, so should be taking that battle. This one is on equal footing. This one's on equal footing, but can't even reach this one. This one was, if you remember, was built to counter the tower that was here, and eventually did. But Margougou now going back home and walling his base in. So I'm not too sure, but the game plan is here for our Saracen, who was the one to put on the aggression to start with. And once his aggression, right as he got it going, right as it was snowballing, 3 towers, 4 towers, he's got the secondary gold, he's got the primary stone, he's also got additional gold. Has he seen the tertiary gold? Yeah, he's seen just the tip. And so he knows that 3 of the 5 mineral patches of his opponent are stuck outside this base. Very uncharacteristic for Hera to give up control of these resources, but I guess as long as he's got a bit of stone left, a lot of gold left, he doesn't really mind it. Monastery going up for him against light cavalry. So interesting moves out of both players. For now, I'm curious to see which direction they choose to go. An extra town center for our Slav, 2 extra town centers for our Saracen, whose base is also sparse. I mean, there's a barracks. It's a barracks, something that our Slav doesn't have. And again, this attack a little bit lackluster, because without any kind of ranged unit, this villager is just going to keep building houses. And Hera's happy to build houses. He needs it. He's got 4 more units to train, and then he's housed. So the more houses he can build, the better. It looks like our Saracen is actually doing him a favor by attacking into here. And Hera now deletes those palisades. Villagers behind the monastery are seeding farms and outmoves the monk. I mean, this is the world's ballsiest monk. You know that there's a lot of aggression out on the map. You know there's light cav, which, by the way, now are moving into position to perhaps intercept this monk. You know that, and you're still out on the field. Okay. Not exactly a Bengali monk with extra armor, but now Margougou realizes, hey, Hera deleted this, which means there's a unit outside here somewhere. Let's keep an eye on his vision. Looks like I possibly missed yet another kill as Hera racks up 2 kills to 1. And where is Hera's monk, by the way? Oh, he's moved south. So Margougou is not going to see any of this as he rolled the dice. They said go north. He goes north, but Hera went south. So that is a sour situation there for our Saracen. But he's getting a good amount of vision. He's getting a good amount of scouting done, and he saw the castle that our Slav is plopping down right in the center position. And there we go. Hera now wants that stone. He is right about to deplete his second backup stone. So the diesel generator has run out, and now he's trying to get up his main electricity here so that he can fuel his economy. Although, again, stone, once you get detonates for your castles as the Slavs, oh, okay, forget detonates, we're going boyars. Okay, all right. Once you get detonates, the stone count is important, but not as important as you'd think, as you save 260. Where is the monk? I heard a monk trying to convert something. Oh my goodness, my viewing of this game so far is really subpar. I do apologize. Let's see what's going on around the map. We've got a scout inside the back of Hera's base. We've got another scout. Oh, this is where it was. And it looks like the scout did manage to kill the monk. I don't know if the relic was always here or if the monk brought it, dropped it, tried to convert. But here comes the boyar. The last thing you want to see as a Dark Age scout is this absolute tank on a horse charging at you. And by the way, the boyar could potentially be the only cavalry unit that can take on the Saracens head on. Now, it's not ideal to take on the Saracens with any kind of cavalry whatsoever, since the camels do 9 damage, I believe, bonus. Yeah, 9. That jumps up to an 18 with heavies. Then you got the Mameluke that also does 9. That jumps up to a 12 once they become elite, if they become elite. But the armor on the boyar, I believe, caps out at an 11, which means they are doing 9 damage or 18 or 12. Whereas against other units, they would be doing a significantly more damage because the armor just isn't the same. Does lose a boyardo conversion, but will get a monk. Loses 1 boyardo conversion, 1 boyardo looks like to the Mamelukes, who now chase in. Another monk moves forward. So I was thinking in the beginning when I saw this matchup of Slavs versus Saracens, and Margougou, by the way, is housed. And he's going to be housed for, nope, not a while. 3 villagers building houses should be unhoused fairly damn quickly. But I was thinking when I first saw this matchup of Slavs versus Saracens, Hera versus Margougou, the name of the game for Hera should be deny the resources out on the map. Starve them, the Saracens. The Saracens is a very, very resource-intensive civilization. That might seem a little asinine to say. There's dead nets. So 260 stone costs now changed or replaced with 260 wood. But the Saracens, more than many civilizations, are quite a demanding, resource-demanding civilization. If you want to get your civ to where it has the absolute power, and I love the spit roasting of the resources every time players do this. It's so nice. It's such a smart move to do for only 100 wood. You make your gathering so much more efficient. But what was I saying? You want to deny the Saracens resources. We've seen what happens when Mr. Yo gobbles up the resources in the map as Saracens. We've seen what happens when the Viper gobbles up the resources. They are unstoppable. You just cannot compete with their units. Not only are they incredibly powerful, and Hera tried with the Manaspa, which is not a weak unit. When you've massed more than 21 of them, they can attack on a 22, which is pretty bonkers. But these units, not only are they strong because they come with all of these attack bonuses, but their HP is also insane. A fully upgraded Camel and Imperial comes with 170 HP. A Mameluke, 133. So when Hera tried to bust in with a Manaspa that had, what, 95 HP, 110 HP, that's nothing. But the boyar, I mean, he's still missing bloodlines. He's going up to Imperial. If we're lucky enough to see the Elite Boyar, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe that is 150 HP. And the armor, again, is at an 11, which means that the Camel, even when fully upgraded, the Mameluke, even when fully upgraded, do minimal damage before the bonus kicks in. Whereas to any other cavalry unit, and believe me, the Manaspa comes with a good amount of armor itself, right? That is not a, it is a very tanky unit when it comes to armor. HP, not so much. Armor, yes, and there's bloodlines, there's scale barding armor. So we're definitely seeing boyar transition, or not transition, but boyar continuation from our Slav here. So that's why it was a little bit interesting for me to see when Hera started walling himself in Howard Hughes style. If you're not familiar with Howard Hughes, I invite you to watch the movie The Aviator, or just Google Howard Hughes, the Texas billionaire movie producer, inventor, gone a bit crazy, locked himself in his apartment, wouldn't come out. He was just an absolute massive germaphobe. Ooh, another market being plopped down here. Not ideal for our slab, but he will probably delete it, deletes it, and replaces it with more housing. So whenever a player fully, hermetically seals themselves into their little nook that they've carved out for themselves, I always like to bring out the Howard Hughes analogy. Although I don't know if these guys drink their own piss, which I think Howard Hughes did, but that's about as as much of a history lesson as I want to go into, as our Slav is investing in block printing. So forget denying Margougou the resources out on the map, which is one viable way to counter the Saracens. He's just going to steal whatever the hell they have. He's going to tank with the cavalry, which he's got 10 boyars already out. Now going up to 4 monks with 12 range. The one big, massive weakness of the Mameluke, the one glaring red flag, is that shitty range of 3. You can't do anything about that range. You can't upgrade it. You can't improve it. It's always going to be at a 3. Loses a Mameluke to a conversion. So losing that Treb in exchange for a Mameluke and a few scout units, not terrible. Not terrible. The Mameluke itself is 85 gold. So it is, I believe, gold-wise, the most expensive, or shares the honorific of being the most expensive gold-costing unique unit in the game, I think. And man, are they so pretty to watch when they when the sun beats down on their big round shields. So the Boyar right now is at a 6 armor. The Mameluke, what do you have? No attack coverage. So they're attacking on an 8. So they do 2 damage and then plus 9, 11 damage to a unit that has 120 HP. So they still need 11 shots of the scimitar or 11 Mamelukes to one-shot a Boyar, which is not something we see very often. Usually Mamelukes are in small enough number, can do significant amounts of damage, but let's see. If you can't deny resources, zone out your opponent, make sure he cannot close on you. And Margougou leaves the Treb. Or was it a trap? We'll see. The Boyar is ridiculously so. Margougou, though, not without his own monks, converts 2 Boyars. And I'm not too sure why he's so hesitant to engage here with his Mamelukes. They stop for a second to fight a converted one of their fellow ranks. Okay. Okay, both players, a few bloody noses, some scraped knees, a cut, a bruise here and there, a little bit of blood, but not the end of the world. Both of them converting whatever the hell they can with whatever monks they have. Although our Saracen, this is really an interesting battle. If you look at it on paper, the Saracens and the Slavs. But this is the one thing that the Saracens have that the Slavs do not, is a quick moving unit that can come in. And remember, these guys do melee damage. So with the melee damage, they can destroy these Trebs, although not when they're surrounded by Slavic units, not when the Slav is repairing the Trebs at the same time. Fantastic save there by Hera. But because they do melee damage, the insane pierce armor of a Treb does not come into play at all. Hera is going to sacrifice a few Boyars, but he gets a Treb, he gets a monk. And then he retreats. Not a bad trade for both players, to be honest. Our Saracen lost a good amount of monks trying to get the Treb down here, but at the end of the day, their villager counts are quite healthy. Neither player really attacking into the other. These are 2 civs, by the way, that have access to Hussars. And the Slavic farmers that work 15% faster man-to-man, can they start spamming Hussars? Ooh, Hera gets the castle up to a sour 20%. Plops down another castle, deletes it. Hera's got enough stone for yet another, I want to say 2 castles, if my math is correct. And the wood as well. And now he's going elite Boyar. Look at the castle placement. Defensive castle. He does not want any kind of Hussar run by. He does not want any kind of run by to the north as well. So now our Slav is slowly starting to gobble up chunks and chunks of the map. Both of them sitting at healthy supplies. Both. Hera lost a few villagers there to that castle attempt. Margougou, though, full steam ahead, going up to 155 villagers. That might be a bit of overkill here for our Saracen, although maybe not. Again, a resource-intense civilization. Not too sure what Hera's doing here. Peacocking with his Boyars as the castle on the high ground gets pounded. One Boyar moves in. What is your mission in life? It is to move in. Now, you think Hera realizes even if he moves him back, he's going to take a good amount of arrow fire. I mean, I'm not too sure what Hera's doing here. Oh my god, we're gonna have elite Boyars taking on elite Mamelukes in a second. And Hera was doing this exact same thing as the Georgians. Lesson not learned. He is chasing yet again into a triple threat of a castle to the left. high ground, and a counter unit, which explains why there's a whole bunch of dead boyars here. That was an absolute atrocious engagement there for our Slav. Although, doesn't seem to have hurt him at all. He is at 30 supply, army supply to the 35 of his opponent. Why did he bring a villager unless that was a converted villager, which is very possible, as these monks have 9 conversions in the players. Bloody Noses yet again disengaged, but an absolute fantastic trade there for our Mameluke. And Hera senses that his opponent does not have enough army to converge on multiple locations at once, brings his villagers forward, and now will secure the final of the 5 resource patches. But the Mamelukes move forward. 1, 2, 3 monks. No, 4 dead monks on the battlefield. And another Treb falls. Hera is out of trebuchets. What is he doing up here? He's got a boyar with no kills attacking a house. Damn your community housing, he says, as that one boyar seeks to cause as much ruckus as possible. This is like watching the Franks. Except the Frankish paladin probably would do worse against the Mameluke. Now it's elite. He needs attack upgrades, though. It's at a plus 12. Or rather, yeah, bonus plus 12. But look at the armor on the boyar. I was right. 11 armor against the Mameluke that does 10 damage. So usually in Age of Empires, if your attack is lower than your opponent's armor, you still do 1 damage. Unless there's bonus to factor in. And because there's a bonus here, you can actually do 0 damage. So these Mamelukes do 0 damage to this boyar and then do 12 bonus. So they're doing 12 damage to a unit that has 150 HP. That is literally 12, right? No, 13. Well, what the hell is 150 divided by 12? 120 is 10, then you have 30 left over, so you need 3 more. Yeah, so 13 Mamelukes are needed. And there's Bamaristan, a little bit late, but welcome nonetheless. Both players are now at 200 population. Our Saracen, where the hell are his Trebs? He is going the route of the Hussar instead. And just now he's getting forging, but look at this. Hera seeing the Hussars immediately pivoting, and he's getting Druzhina. This is the second most expensive unique technology, unique upgrade, whatever you want to call it, in the game. And it is going to give these halberdiers a 5 damage trample damage within a half a tile radius, which is going to basically destroy these Hussars. But Mameluke's on the high ground, and he's losing more and more to conversions. I really am curious to see the conversion count for both players at the end of the game. And finally, after a good 20 minutes, this castle does fall in front of Hera's face, and it looks like our Slav is starting to gobble up more and more of the map. He is converting more and more of these units from the Saracens, which, by the way, now that they're elite, as Edelweiss pointed out, do come with an attack bonus against other Mamelukes of +1. These guys are trying to do some fancy footwork to get to the monks, but now there's halberdiers with trample damage. There's a converted Mameluke, and in come the Mamelukes. They're going to sacrifice themselves to get these monks. Not too sure that's going to really work out in his favor here. Sorry for the zoom in. I didn't mean to zoom in that much. A fighting retreat here to the bottom, to the north. A whole bunch of halberdiers do stop the Hussar run by attempt. Army counts identical, villager counts identical, but the better army here looks like it is, at this point, in favor of the Slav. He's countering the Hussar. He's countering the Mameluke with monks. There's only 15 Mamelukes left. Now the Trebs to the north are going to start shelling away at this castle, which is on a serious high ground. Might want to move the trebuchets up north over here if you're interested at all in taking advantage of the extra attack bonus that comes with the high ground. But now Hera with 60 villagers on food, 61 villagers on wood. He's going to spam halberdiers all the live long day. And our Saracen, who saw the barracks going up, remember, these went up right underneath his very nose, didn't pivot in time. The Saracens do have counters to this halberdier, which was, I right? Yeah, half a tile trample damage. And I believe they do 5 damage within that half a tile to the units. Wow. Wow, I really thought this might be an uphill. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to jinx anything. Or I didn't want to color the commentary in any way. Oh, mama. Look at this. Our Slav. He's going up to 22 barracks. This is 110 population space, so he can lose, forget your nomads for the Mongols, you can lose houses all the live long day here. I didn't even notice the barracks to the back of the base. Oh my goodness. But as I was saying, I thought this was going to be a little bit of an uphill battle for our Slav, just because, again, on the face of it, you do have two civilizations with similarly affected units. And what do I mean by that? I mean, the Saracen siege can be upgraded to do 15% more damage with counterweights, whereas the Slavic siege is 15% cheaper. You have monks that move 20% faster, taking on no more red monks alive for me to click on. But if there was, let's use our imagination Willy Wonka style and pretend this is a monk that I'm highlighting against the Saracen monks who can heal within a 5-tile radius at a rate of 75 HP per minute, which basically means that the Saracen army can stay almost alive the entire game. The longevity of the Saracen army is just absolutely bonkers with the Bemaristan upgrade, I believe it's pronounced. And then you have super powerful halberdiers and infantry against a civilization that has basically a pristine archer line to get rid of them. You want to go skirmisher, you want to go arbalest, you want to go hand cannoneer. So these are two on paper interestingly balanced. I'm not going to say equally balanced. I still think the advantage here is to the Saracen just because of this unit. Had he upgraded him a little bit more, this attack would not be at 11. So the Boyar's armor basically nullifies the entire attack of the Mameluke, and then he's basically relying on 12 damage as a bonus only, which usually, again, with any other cavalry unit, there would be the 12 bonus on top of, let's say, 6 damage, 5 damage, 7 damage. So you're getting into the high teens in terms of damage. Whereas this unit with 150 HP, that, what do we calculate it at? My very basic, terrible math. 13 Mamelukes to one-shot a Boyar. So that is just something that our Saracen just didn't have. And even though he took a couple of really good engagements, the kill count at the end of the day is ridiculously similar. 138 to 130, 17 villagers to 13. I try not to look at this resources collected until I look at the statistics, but man, our Slav with those quicker farmers, even though he had a smaller economy for the majority of the game, did collect more resources. And ultimately, I mean, our Saracen did gobble up the resources. Oh, but you best believe Hera, if he notices this, is going to go right after these villagers. But how many castles did our Slav have at the end of the day? 7 castles. Only one of them he paid full price, his OG castle here to the front, which is still standing, and then a whole bunch of other ones at a ridiculous 40% discount. Let's take a look at the stats. 58 Boyars, 99 Hussars. I'm surprised it's 99 Hussars. I don't remember seeing 99 Hussars. Maybe they were those scouts and light cav for the majority of the game. PKPM for Hera, a little bit more relaxed than usual, but towards the end of the game. PKPM for his opponent, also towards the end of the game. So both of them struggling in the last 10 minutes to micro the hell out of their armies. And look at this. Trash going to our Slav. And this is interesting. With 4 relics to 1, Margougou actually gets 2,400 more gold and just a tiny little bit, a pebble's worth of extra stone. So forget the stone, not really relevant. An extra 2,400 in gold is a pretty good amount for the Saracens. A little bit less food, which is surprising given how much better the Slavic, although this is, I guess, about 10-15%, just under 10. But look at the wood count. Not that our Saracen really needs wood. Everything he built was food intensive, except for some siege. But that might explain why we didn't see any siege out of our Saracen. That might explain why he barely had any trebuchets. And I love the location, by the way, of the Saracen castles. He took them on the perfect hills, and Hera doing the exact same. Look at all of these hill. You'd think you're in Scotland or something with all these hill castles, or Germany, or something like that. Some place like that. But wow, at the end of the day, the monks, ooh, conversions, yes. I'm speaking to myself, of course. 40 conversions out of an army count of 171 is what, 25%? That is insanely high. 40 conversions out of 171, 5 for our Saracen out of 171. Oh, interesting. Wait, what am I looking at? No, this is total population. Army high. Wait a second. Am I looking at the wrong? What? He can't possibly have gotten 40 conversions out of 52 army high. No. It's out of one. It's got to be out of 171, right? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. 40 is a ridiculous number, whether it's out of 59, 52, or 171, or 30 or 58. Doesn't really matter. I'll figure out capture age. You'd think I'd have learned it all by now, but there you go. Always something new to learn. 40 conversions by our Slav. So Hera's game plan was not deny resources, but rather give his opponent resources, give an inch, take a mile, so that he could just teef his most strong units, most strong, otherwise known as strongest. And that's why our Slav actually ends the game with 4 Mamelukes to the 9 of his opponent, and with 10 monks on the way. He's got 6 already. 3 of them look like they have full faith. 4 more on the way. He is supply capped. His opponent dropped down to 170. And our Slav just butting heads with the Saracen over and over and over again, slowly building up his resources so that he can get that Druzhina upgrade and get the Halberdier out. Now, I don't know if the Halberdier, I suspect it was a reaction to the Hussars. And the one thing that Margougou did not do was raid the economy after that first scout got into the back of the Hera's base like a fly trapped inside a room. Since then, he has just not been able to get any kind of damage done. And look at this. Remember the tower rush? That seems like a million years ago. And unfortunately, that tower rush, he went back with 3 of his 4 villagers and just then played a standard game after trying that 4 tower push, not succeeding. And then just deciding, okay, you know what? Never mind. LOL, I'm going back. Silly me. And unfortunately for him, Hera just had the time, and he had the absolute tank of a unit, the Boyar. 10 kills on this band of 12, 3 of them villagers. And more importantly, I think the monks, because Hera lost a good amount of trebuchets to fantastic sniping out of our Saracen. But ultimately, the army composition for the Slav just untouchable based on what Margougou was doing. Now, if he had some siege, it would be very much touchable. Not to get too pervy, he could have touched Hera all over the place. But unfortunately, that is not the army composition he went for. He went for mobility with the Hussars and then didn't actually raid, even though Hera's base now is completely open, because it's impossible to wall your base off entirely unless you make a super duper active effort to do so. And Hera, I think, was making a super duper active effort to absolutely bust out as many halberdiers and perhaps even more powerful units out of that pristine, ridiculous Slav infantry line. He could go champions. He's got the upgrades already. Just needs the plate mail armor there. And ultimately, yeah, he just built the better army composition. Our Slav losing the front castle means his entire base now is exposed. His secondary castle, tertiary castle, is about to fall, so ignore that one. But he's got 1 castle left after all of this. And with that castle falling, his strongest unit, the Mameluke, is no longer trainable, or at least is trainable only from 1 castle for now. And you're not going to compete with 22 barracks with 1 castle. Doesn't matter what the hell comes out of here unless it's Cobra cars. And he lives to fight another day. He sees the future, taps out GG's, and it is Hera who overcomes the Saracens, this time with the Slavs, who takes the W, but GG in a super fun game to both players. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.